my name is Gail Webb, and I am married. I have two sons who now live in Tennessee, and that's why I'm here, and their families. And I am a nurse, actually originally from Ohio, go Bucks, and I went to Ohio State University, and so did my husband. And then when our sons moved down here, we decided we needed to be closer because we only saw them once a year. And so we retired, we owned a golf course, and we were able to sell that and move down here. We moved down here in 2005, and I went until 2006 when I changed providers, and my primary care provider said at a physical, "Oh, you haven't had a mammogram for 2 years." And I said, "It's been 2 years?" And she said, "Yes, I think you need one." I said, "Fine." I had gotten one yearly since the age of 40, and no problems, no cancer problems in my family of my mother or my sister. So I went and had the mammogram, and while I was there, he said, "I think we need to do a cone down of a certain section." And I said, "Okay." And I had fibrocystic breasts, and so I thought, well, that's probably what it is. So it didn't really concern me too much, and they did that, and I went home. And then a week later, I got a call from my primary care physician that said there was some suspicious areas, and I think we need to do more testing. Where would you want to go? Well, I was working at the health department in McMinnville, and one of the nurses there had met an oncology physician who she thought was really good. And so I said, well, I think I'll go to Vanderbilt. And so we got in touch with Dr. Mazoy and set up an appointment for me to have a stereotactic biopsy of 2 areas. And the radiologist there, or whatever the guy is that does the core biopsy, said, "Oh, there's nothing to worry about. These are usually benign." And I said, "Okay, fine." And so then I get a call the next week to come in, and that they needed to talk to me. Well, that was May the 2nd, and I had ductic carcinoma in situ. And my first impression was, wait a minute, I think they've got the wrong person. And luckily my husband was with me, because after she said that, I just kind of was in shock and didn't hear much of anything. And there was another hyperplasia area that was atypical. And so she said, we need to do treatment. And I was like, what? Me? I can't believe this. So she suggested that I consider some different options, and it was my choice. And so we went home. One of my sons is a family physician. I talked to him. I talked to my husband. I talked to a lady who I knew was a breast cancer survivor, and I got online and I was looking up everything I could find. And finally I decided, okay, if this is for real, I think I want a mastectomy. And my husband said that was fine with him. That was my main concern, because I wasn't having any more children and my breasts weren't that important on my body. So that's where it started, and it was a real shock. My tumor was very small. I had not felt anything in my own self-examinations. I did not feel ill. There was no cause for me to think I had breast cancer. And the tumor was so small that I told her I really didn't want radiation or chemotherapy and there was nothing showed in my lymph nodes. And I said I'd rather not. My thinking on that was, I had heard some of the negative things about radiation and chemotherapy. And also my heart is under that left breast, and I didn't want to jeopardize something else. So I said, I'd rather not. So I just went with a total mastectomy on the left side. Now here's the thing, when you have breast cancer, it's not just that you have breast cancer, you have all these decisions to make. And then they tell you if it's estrogen positive or if you have a certain gene, you know, that would make you want to consider something further. And I was estrogen positive, so I did take Arimidex for 4 years. And then I started having joint problems, and the oncologist said, "You've done so well, we're just going to take you off." And then my thumb started working again, and my ankle started working again. So as of this, well, last week, I am now a 5-year survivor. After that diagnosis, it does make changes in your life. I had a near-death experience in 2004 with a pulmonary emboli that went to both lungs. And it made me to appreciate each day of my life more than I ever had. This was a reminder to me that I do not have a death sentence. I can live my life, and I better live it to the fullest. So that's what it was a reminder to me to do that. Now my focus prior to having breast cancer was not breast health. It is now. And I'm a real adamant person. I have made it very known to everyone that I have breast cancer, and I'm willing to talk to any person with that diagnosis or who has questions. I have been a speaker. We've gone to different churches and spoken to women about breast cancer. I've had calls from as far as California of a friend's sister-in-law who was diagnosed with breast cancer. So I have become an advocate for breast health and fighting breast cancer, which I was not before. It just makes you a little more compassionate for people and those who are hurting or have problems. And so I just try to reach out to more people than I ever did. My husband was the first, and you cry a lot. And that comes, and you just have to accept that's going to be a part of it. With the diagnosis and after the procedure, and he was there for me like a rock. My children were, my grandchildren were, and are, they still are. I must tell you a funny story. Our oldest grandson, he and I were walking one day after I'd had the mastectomy and before I'd had the implant. And I had a cotton fiber breast that I wore in my bra. Well, we were walking along, and he says, Grandmother, there's something coming out of your shirt. And I looked down and I said, "Oh, Aaron, that's my breast." And I just tucked it back in. And he looked at me and I said, "Well, when you have it cut off because of cancer, then there's different options you have of looking like you have a breast." And he says, "Oh, okay." And he was like maybe 15 at the time. So it was funny. We laughed. Yeah. We laughed about that. But and I think there is humor in it too. I've written down, I keep a journal, and I did it from the day I had got my diagnosis. And there are funny things that happen in this whole process, and so it's been an interesting journey. I have a church family that I did not know. There were 3 ladies in our congregation who were breast cancer survivors. They had never said a word. And they were very supportive, and we prayed together all during this. And one of them came out and gave me the diary. And she also gave me a bracelet that says, "We love God, God loves Gail, and Gail loves God." And I wore that bracelet for quite a while. So there was also I'm very thankful to God, a very important religious aspect to this too. We moved down here because of my grandchildren, and I would have missed a lot of soccer games. All of my grandchildren have played soccer, and the youngest is now 8. And I've watched them from age 4 on playing soccer. Our 18-year-old who graduates, I would not see his graduation on the 17th if I probably had not had this early detection. And he is a goalie for the high school soccer team, and I am very much involved in that, and probably the loudest, if only, grandparent besides my husband there. And so I would miss all their growing up. And I just felt it was really important to be a part of their lives. My grandparents lived next door to me, one set of them, and that was always very special to me. And I wanted to be there for my grandchildren. The other things are just, like, for instance, last week, I don't know if you know what a pileated woodpecker is, but they stand about this tall, and they have a notched red top on their head. They're beautiful. I was out working in my flower garden, which I love gardening, and I have some stumps out there in my garden, and one flew down to the stump. He was about a little bit further than you and I, and I was just transfixed. I just sat there and watched this woodpecker. He was thinking maybe there were worms in my stump. There weren't, but he was beautiful. And I have gotten into, a friend has given me as many daylilies as I want, and I just love the colors and the formations of flowers. And I would miss these things. Don't just say, oh my goodness, and live in fear. Find out. There are ways we can find out, so do that. But here, with the yearly mammogram, I thought, okay, my yearly mammogram. I mean, I'm 69, and for that many years of having a yearly mammogram and nothing, and then all of a sudden something, early detection is very important. The success is prayer. I don't know how people do it without prayer to God, and that's very important. And success is having support around you, and then when you have all that, the success is being able to give it back. That's a very important part of it. So those are the things that I think have made this a successful journey. Breast health is very important, but in our day and age, there is more diagnoses of cancers, whether it be uterine cancer, breast cancer, lung cancer, whatever. But just be attuned to your body, and do go and seek help. We don't have to live in worrying and fear, and that just tears you down. So there's an option there, and you need to take it. The Susan G. Komen Foundation has helped me be an avenue of all the things they have given me in their information. That's where I went first, and then okay, here's a walk I can do to give back. And I organized a team, and I thought, oh, I've had to do fund organization before, and it's not always easy. But I said, hey, I'm forming a team. I want you to be on my team. And I had like 15 people on my team, and we all walked together. And it is empowering to see people that have a cause. And it's not just women either, it's men too who have breast cancer. And if this is a cancer that can be eliminated in our future, why wouldn't we want to support it? And that's why I just feel, I go to all of the lectures on breast health. I get a magazine called Cure, and I look for breast health, and I try to share that with all those I come in contact with. So the Komen Foundation has given me a way to express my gratitude for what was available for me when this happened. Mm-hmm. It is so helpful to have someone help you navigate through all these questions that they almost come at you like a firecracker, you know, and it explode in front of you, and you're like, okay, what am I supposed to do now? What am I supposed to do? What can I do? And there's answers there for you, and still you have the choice. They present, okay, this is what you can do, this is what you can do, and that makes it so much easier than wondering, you know, what did I do? I can't tell you that there weren't days when I said, why me? You know, I didn't want this. But now I'm saying, good, you know, it was me. I can deal with this. I was reading in the book of James, trials and tribulations bring endurance, strengthening endurance that give you hope. Mm-hmm. And that's what it is. Yeah. That's what it is.